Have you ever wondered why you're in pain when you didn't hurt yourself? We have Dr. Trevor Dandridge from Riverside Sports Therapy to talk more on the local lens. Let's check it out. On Local Lens, we dive into the stories of Calgary's local entrepreneurs, bringing our community closer together. Your lens into Calgary's thriving businesses. Hey guys, we're back today on the Local Lens with Dr. Trevor Dandridge from Riverside Sports Therapy. Trevor, love the hat. Let's hop right into it. Yeah, tell me more about Riverside Sports Therapy.
It's a multidisciplinary clinic that opened in 2007. I've been there for 9 years now. Currently consists of 2 locations. We're based out of Cochrane with the primary location, or the original location I should say, from in Calgary, Northwest. Currently made up of massage, physio, and chiropractic. Yeah.
Awesome. And what do you do within that?
So I'm a chiropractor. I've been contracted there since 2016. We see anyone from Olympic gold medal hopefuls to the 72-year-old who wants to keep playing pickleball, or anyone who's just uncomfortable, basically.
Awesome. And how long have you been practicing doing that for?
So I've been at the clinic for 9 years. Well, I started my internship actually 9 years ago. So I started in May of 2016. So just approaching 9 years.
Okay. And what was the path to getting to where you were? Schooling, practicing?
Yeah, a lot of school for sure. I mean, undergrad and then graduate school is 8 years. And then, yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to actually start my career at the place I did my internship, which happens to some, but not very often. So I actually don't know anybody from my school who is working at the same place that they started at this point.
Oh wow, so it's pretty rare.
I have one friend who's at the same place, yeah.
Okay, cool. And what's one of the most common misunderstandings or misunderstandings you hear within the industry of physio, chiropractor, what you do?
Oh man, where do I start? I would say with chiropractic especially, the profession can have a very bad reputation, and honestly rightfully so in some ways. The profession is old, and it dates back decades, and unfortunately there are some people who still practice the way things were practiced back then. And what I mean by that is there's this, I wouldn't even hesitate to call it a fallacy of, aligning your spine to make sure that everything is going to function properly, and we know that that's not true anymore. We're way better than that now, to be honest. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing is there's no such thing as like a misalignment of your spine. So I mean, if you want to talk about the neuroscience of an adjustment, I'm happy to do that, but it has nothing to do with the cartoonish idea that you're crooked and then this mystery person can fix you.
Yeah. And you kind of touched on it, how we're so much better than we used to be within the industry. Can you speak on how that has evolved over the years within the industry, or your experience, or the new mindset shift on chiropractors? Yeah,
it's all, I mean, we just know, I mean, as a global, when I say this, I'm referring to like humans in general, we know very little about pain science, like truly know very little about pain science, but there are things that we do know, and so we can apply those things now better than we could before. We know how pain goes from what's called a nociceptor, which is a neurologic receptor in your body that transmits a signal that your body or your brain, then interprets to pain once it's in your mind. So like we know how these things work now, and we know the type of nerve fiber that transmits that information. We know how to override that signal with things like vibration, pressure, but primarily movement. Yeah.
So you're not just, from what I just took from that, like you're not just cracking somebody anymore.
No, I actually would say that there's a fair number of patients that I see that I don't adjust at all, because I don't think it's what's holding them back. Yeah.
And what are so if you're not adjusting them, what are you doing?
Yeah, so that's where my profession kind of gets interesting, is because we have this pretty substantially wide spectrum of things that we can apply. So like deep tissue work, whether it's ART or light tissue work where you're affecting different mechanoreceptors in the skin versus the muscle. We can utilize needles via traditional Chinese acupuncture methods and or more contemporary applications of stimulating actual muscles that have been strained from injury, or conversely muscles that have been asleep for a while because you sit at a desk for 50 hours and then you want to go play tennis or something.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we have modalities too, like laser, shockwave, taping. There's a huge spectrum.
And you kind of spoke on it. What makes, as an industry as a whole, I'm sure there's different ways to practice. Riverside Sports, yourself, what makes you different than others within the industry?
I think we're always just trying to be better. There is a requirement of our profession to do, what we call continuing education. There's not a practitioner who holds a license that doesn't have to do that. But what I find most interesting is learning things exterior to that, either from patients who are highly educated or reading books. Like I'm reading this book right now called Atomic Habits. I think it's a few years old now, but it's just little things like this where you can impart advice to people about, they say, oh, I don't have time to stretch or something like that, or I don't have time to do my exercise. And I'm like, okay, well, do you brush your teeth? And it's like, well, yeah, of course I brush my teeth. I'm like, okay, well, stand on one foot while you brush your teeth, right?
Okay.
We're rehabbing your ankle because the ligaments were trashed after injury. And now we're trying to get the foot to better communicate to the brain. I'm like, you're standing in the bathroom brushing your teeth anyway. So stand on one foot, challenge that system while you brush your teeth, because but little things like that. That I didn't learn that at a continuing education course. I didn't learn that at school. I learned that from this book that I'm reading.
Okay. Yeah. So continuously learning, continuously trying to find ways. You're right. As someone that has a full-time job, has kids, has hobbies, got to make dinner, pay the bills, all that kind of stuff. Life gets busy. Finding ways to, I personally have fallen short on homework.
Yep.
You've given me, or or any trainer in my sports career has given me, right? Because it's not natural to think about implementing those things to your day.
Yeah.
So having guidance in that for sure would be helpful. Plans or goals, aspirations for the future within your industry, personally, Riverside Sports.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just continuing to try to grow. The team that I work with is awesome. I never show up to work thinking, oh, like one day I wish I could do this, or like I mentioned at the beginning, I've been lucky enough to work with patients who have brought home Olympic gold medals, and I'll also rehabbed an ACL from reconstruction to back to elite hockey and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say that there's goals in terms of like something new. I just always want to be better.
Be better. No, that's important, right? Is having those consistent goals. Is something in your profession, I guess, something that came up in my mind when you said that, is seeing someone progress fulfilling? Like building a house or
it's people. I once heard that the big thing about teaching is that teachers get this like what they call an aha moment, where the student like finally gets what they've been trying to teach them. Yeah. And that's what doctor means, teacher.
Yeah.
So for me, my I guess highlights are when people get where they're trying to go, when they succeed, when they win, or when I have patients that are maybe younger and they're trying to decide, do I go back and try to keep playing hockey, or like do I call it, right? Yeah. And when they have these moments where they do an exercise and they're like, I couldn't do this before, right? I'll never forget, it was pretty early in my career. I had this rugby player she had a pretty nasty concussion. And the first time she came to my office, she came walking down the hallway, like holding onto the wall, because she couldn't stand, like without assistance, basically. Yeah. And so, you know, in working with her medical practitioners as well, I just did the things that I thought were appropriate for her. And I'll never forget, she came in a few weeks later, and she said, like, watch this. And she stood with her 2 feet together and her arms at her side, and she shut her eyes, and she could stand. And she was like she cried.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's moments like that that will keep you coming back for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I think some that stuck with me through anything that I do in life is if you're only doing it for yourself, you're only gonna go so far.
Right.
Right. You need those exterior motivations, whether that's your family, your kids, you know, you gotta be serving other people or other, you know, passions or reasons for what you're doing, and can really motivate you as well. I guess, you know, thanks Dr. Dandridge for coming in, learning more about yourself, Riverside Sports. What's the best way people can, you know, get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can find us online. It's riversidesportstherapy.com. All our contact information is on there. There is a link to book, but you could also link through rst.janeapp.com, JANEAPP.com.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you very much, Trevor.
Of course.
You've helped me through a lot. I'm constantly injured. I'm an athlete, but you know, if I go anywhere, I'm going to Trev. So appreciate everything you've done for me and also coming in today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks for tuning into The Local Lens. Keep supporting local and stay inspired. And see you next time for more stories from Calgary business communities. Your lens into Calgary's thriving business scene.